too. There's only one thing I'd like to emphasize tonight. Immaculate Conception.
Yeah, I quit. It's got a little bit late.
When I talk to Catholics, more than 50% Catholics grew up Catholics. Children are Catholics. Children go to Catholic schools. 40 years old, a Catholic, still do not know what Immaculate Conception is. Okay? So, one of the things that I would like to happen is try to test your friends if they know what Immaculate Conception is. 50% of the times they'll say, I don't know. In fact, I'm wondering, how come it's not 9 months after that Jesus Christ was born? And that's how I found out. Because people were questioning me on the Catholic Church does not know biology. Because December 8th, she conceived, and December 25, she gave birth. That's not 9 months. That's how I found out. They did not know. They thought Immaculate Conception was the sinless virgin conception of Jesus Christ. So if you come across people like that, correct them right. Correct them right.
Well, they all know what the Immaculate Reception was.
The Immaculate
Reception. Franco Harris and Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh fan. I'm sorry to hear that.
So, any other questions? So if you'll notice one theme that went through this, everything in the titles of Mary was always Christology. It was always an explanation of the person of Jesus. That Jesus was 100% divine and 100% human. Okay? Especially that title of Mother of God. It actually explains the hypostatic union that is in Jesus Christ. That you cannot separate Christ's humanity from His divinity. So since Mary is the mother of Jesus, whose person is divine and human at the same time, and we believe that Jesus is God, therefore she is the mother of God. Nothing to do with Mary. Nothing to do with Mary.
I have a question. You started this thing out today by talking about two references in the Bible. No, I can't find them. Oh, in which it says that and she shall conceive a son and they shall name him Emmanuel. Two different places. How come Christ was named Jesus then?
You know, I don't know.
I mean, you know,
Because-
you could probably argue that
Because it's
it hasn't been
actually,
fulfilled yet because we haven't got Emmanuel.
this is the explanation that I knew since I was growing up in Catholic education. That actually Jesus was his name that they called him. But you know this is Jesus Christ. Now, Christ was the Emmanuel, God is with us. Christ means the Messiah. That's why they always say Jesus Christ. When Peter was asked, because they said some people call you Elijah, and he asked Peter, who do you think I am? He did not say you are Jesus. He said you are the Christ. And some people, and this is the explanation given to me, I do not know what the official one is. And this was Jesuits and Christian brothers, that the Christ means God is now with us, Emmanuel. Don't take my word as gospel truth there, because it's not in the gospel. But that is how I was taught. Now, you will force me now to go make my research, and maybe next week I will come back with the actual church explanation.
I probably will forget by next week, so you might be off the hook.
Because you know what? That's a good question. And really, sometimes I think of that, but I go back to what the explanation was to me. But then, you're right. He was never called Emmanuel.
Well, what was interesting, is another point, is that there were two references in the Bible. And one was Emmanuel with an I, and the other one was Emmanuel with an E.
You just will notice that, like Ishmael with an I-S-H and Ismael with I-S-M-A-E-L.
Same thing.
Right? And like we call him Jesus and the Jews call him Yeshua. See? Okay? I will look into that because I'd like to satisfy. Just like that the thing about the bread. That explanation given to me originally by old priest, and then I saw that article about the practice of the Pope sending out the small pieces, and then he joins it in the mass that's given in your area, and that also symbolizes the unity of the whole church. But I was always taught, and many priests will tell you, that it is a symbol of our joining in the sacrifice. So these questions that you ask here helps me.
Yeah,
One more.
Tonight is the first time I've ever heard that Joseph was a widower.
Yeah, because that is not in the official canonized writing. It's, how did they call that? That's a prophet.
The Proto-Evangelium.
Proto-Evangelium.
Say what?
It's the Gospel of St. James. Just like that, there's a Gospel of St. Thomas. These are other books written, but declared not inspired, but more historical, and was done for teaching.
Can you find it? Is this on the internet?
You know,
It
I've
should
checked
be.
that myself. I don't know. I don't have a copy, but you might look there.
But you would call it the Gospel of St. James?
Yes, that's what I always heard it called, just like the Gospel of St. Thomas. In fact, I think, because those are the two more known Gospels that are not in the Bible, I think there are more than that that were called Gospels. Because remember, Gospel means the good news. And all these disciples were trying to give the good news. And whatever the writings were called Gospels. I will look into that again.
That threw me, because I had never heard that before.
But it was, as was said, it was never incorporated in doctrine. Okay? In fact, the first explanation they gave of the osorium on that burial thing, they said it can be true. Because it's possible, because there are some writings which says that Joseph was a widower. He might have had an elder son named James.
I remember seeing that in the article, because I remember when that came out.
That was the first thing that the Catholic Church said. It doesn't really matter.
Well, maybe because I read that, I said it had to be wrong, and then when they said it was a forgery, it was, you know.
Yeah, and then it turns out it was a forgery. But even before they declared it was a forgery, that was the explanation. They never gave it out as an official explanation, but that could have explained it. That's how it was put before. That it doesn't really matter because in that Gospel of St. James, he might have had children. You see, what is happening is many of these things that they claim are in the negative. It's hard, when something is negative, it's hard to prove. Otherwise. Like, actually, when you say that Mary was a virgin, it's just that everybody in the Christian world believes that the birth of Christ was a virgin birth. But if you think about it, if you go back to that time, And the fact that she was betrothed to Joseph, right there and then, under Jewish customs, then they will have marital relationship, even before the marriage. And it's always said that she was betrothed. Now, but it's been an accepted fact that she was a virgin. And then you have this other, if you call it in law, circumstantial evidences that she was actually a consecrated virgin, that during that time also they had what we call protectors. So Joseph was their protector and so forth. And usually, and this is where that comes in, him being a widower, usually the protector is an elderly man who many times are widows. Okay? So there's the correlation there. But it's really hard to prove something that when they say it is not a negative thing. It's really hard. So all we have to do is base it on faith and whatever correlation there is. Even her age, the age of the Virgin Mary, many claim she was only 12 or 13. So at that age, but then even at that age during that time, that was the married age. That was the married age. So actually, that is why we always say that the Christian religion is based on three things: faith, hope, and love. And it always starts out with faith. And without faith, then everything crumbles. Everything goes to pieces. Because honestly, we cannot prove anything. We cannot prove any of this. We can only show correlations. That's why most debates is between Christian sects. I do have very difficult time. Difficult in the sense of trying to convince other religions into Christianity. But eventually, sometimes, because they also have faith, and everything is based on faith, sometimes it's easier to discuss with non-Christian religions than with other Christians, because, you know, it becomes a debate when it comes to other religions. And they can make it very difficult. Just this thing about the Petras and Petros, that always comes out. So when that happens, I just walk out. And just tell them, it's so ridiculous to say, you are Peter, and upon me, I will build my church. It doesn't make sense. But to them, because they do not want to believe that, it makes sense to them. Does it make sense? Maybe it's just their stubbornness. That's why number one is faith. Any other questions, at least on this and Virgin Mary? If you will notice, any group that has a devotion to Mary is usually very strong in faith. How many of you have gone to Peter Chanel? You notice, you can really feel the devotion of this priest. What are they? Oblates of Mary. Their basis in life as the Virgin. And most Christians, if we look at them, or most Catholics, if they're very devout Catholic, behind that is always this devotion to Mary. Because Mary has only one thing she does in this life. Follow whatever he does. Any other questions? No?